Hello, and welcome to another Bomber Live session. Thank you guys for joining us today, making time to come be a part of this evening's conversation. Hello, Desmond. Well, today's subject of conversation is self-awareness. What is it? How do you obtain it? How do you sustain it? What are the benefits? And our guest speaker is someone new. You haven't seen her before in our previous sessions. Her name is Jennifer. She's a counseling psychologist. And yeah, it's very exciting to have her present. Every 2 weeks, and we tackle different conversations. And if there's a specific subject that you feel needs to be addressed, please feel free to reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts around it. Hello, Jennifer. Karibu sana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Great.
Oh, great. Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you for agreeing to be part of the Bomber Live Convos.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
so I
this will
gave
be
them a
fun.
very brief introduction as to who you are, but if you
Yeah,
want to add something else to it, please feel free to do so.
I feel like you probably said everything. There's very little.
I
Huh.
just said your name and
But
your title, and I said you'd
yes,
be
yes,
joining us.
yes. But my name is Jennifer. I am a counseling
Yeah.
psychologist and I focus on trauma mostly. Not that I don't do other things, but mostly I focus my work and my clients and everything around trauma. And I work with creatives a lot because I feel like that's one of the spaces that requires a lot of. I feel very passionate about creatives because I feel that they're doing like amazing work and they need all the support that they can get. And sometimes it can be very lonely for them. And
Mm.
yeah, that's why I like working with creatives and people in general, but creatives specifically. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's who I am and that's what I do.
That's so lovely. As a creative myself, thank you for your service. You are highly appreciated.
Thank you.
And
Thank
yeah,
you.
I think
It's a pleasure.
especially for not to say that there's not other groups that require require such
Yeah.
support,
Mm-hmm.
but it is to say that I think for a lot of creatives, because your work is almost sort of like your therapy, people
Mm.
don't think to reach outwards or externally for more support. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead. Okay. So, we've been talking about self-awareness for quite some time now on the page,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I think it's important to not assume that everyone understands what self-awareness is, or maybe even for
Mm-hmm.
those that do, maybe
Mm.
they don't have the tools available to them or the skills to develop it further.
Yeah.
So maybe in layman's terms, you can explain to us what exactly self-awareness is.
Yeah. Thank you. Um, yeah, self-awareness is a big thing. Let me just start by saying that um, self-awareness is the thing that sets you up for success in very many aspects of your life. I don't know if this has been said in other sessions of the self-awareness topics, but I think
Mm,
it can't be overemphasized. If you're not self-aware, you're going to struggle with so many things in this life, and you'll wonder, is it me? Am I the problem? Is it others? Are they the
mm,
problem? So it will keep you
yeah.
rotating around the same question, but never really understanding what the issue is. So
Mm,
in layman's language, self-awareness is the capacity, that clarity that you have about who you are, your thoughts, your beliefs, your desires, your dreams, your behaviors, you know, and how they
yeah.
impact you, how they impact your life, and how and the impact you have on other people. So how other
Mm,
people see you, that also can
okay.
contribute to your self-awareness. So you knowing, having a very clear understanding of who you are and your motives for the behaviors that you have and your feelings, and that it's like a capacity to stand outside of yourself and see yourself as a separate entity and be able to look at
Yeah.
yourself like a different like a separate entity that allows you to be very objective, very uh, not swayed by emotions as you look into yourself. That's what self-awareness is and what it does. So I think I like to refer to self-awareness as a meta skill. You know, those skills that help you learn other skills. So I believe self-awareness is a meta skill. With self-awareness, you are able to learn other kinds of skills in life much easier and acquire them much faster because you're self-aware. And if I can throw in something that I truly think is important to always remember, is that when you're talking about self-awareness, you also to a degree talking about emotional intelligence. And this psychologist who says that there are 5 elements to emotional intelligence, and self-awareness is number 1.
Including self-awareness,
So yeah, if you're not self-aware, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know why you do the things you do, if you don't know how you impact other people, if you don't know how your behavior, your words, your emotions impact other people, you're going to struggle. I think that's the most basic way I can, that's the most basic way I can just break it down. It's the
Those are the
cornerstone.
facts.
Yeah.
Thank you for
It's the
that. So for
cornerstone.
those who are joining now, what we're discussing is
Yeah.
self-awareness. So if you have any questions that you want us to tackle in the midst of this conversation, please feel free to put them out in the comments, or you can send them privately as a question.
Yeah.
So I want to get a little bit personal. How self-aware do you believe you
Well,
are? And do you think that that's a testament to your profession, or that was a major element of just your personality? Like it was an innate trait for you and then got further developed through your profession, or vice versa? Which one is it?
wow, you're coming with big guns. Let's see.
It's a safe space.
Let me see how to answer that accurately. One, I think I believe I am self-aware, but not as self-aware as, like, I've not reached the level that I would want to reach. And that is because of a couple of reasons. One being, I think self-awareness is a shifting goalpost, and it is also a kind of a continuum, in the sense that, why is it a shifting goalpost? You learn new things, you meet different people, you experience new things that make you realize things about yourself you didn't know you had or you were.
Yeah.
So once you sit there and say, oh my gosh, I've just mastered my self-awareness, I'm so good at self-awareness, right now I am getting all A's, and then something happens, or you meet somebody, or just a thing, because you know how life is, it's just like this, and so something comes up and you're like, oh wait, I was not prepared for that. So that makes it keep shifting, because with every new experience you learn new things about yourself that you did not know. So that's why I can't confidently say that I am completely self-aware. I think also my having being in my profession has kind of helped a bit, because the beauty of this of counseling as a profession is that when you sit in class and you learn these things, the class becomes more of a learning experience for you, and it changes your thoughts as a human, as a person. You get to change a lot. As much as it is teaching you the job, it also kind of changes your life at the same time. You get, like, it's not one of those things that it's very abstract, it's not out there. Counseling, I think, and psychology as a field becomes very enmeshed with your life. It's very hard for you to go through that 4 years or 6 years or 10 years in school studying this field and just come out the same way you went in. It's impossible. So I think having gone to the profession has helped me a bit, and also me going to my own therapist, because I also have my own counseling sessions. When I go to my therapist and I sit there and we discuss what is going on with me and everything, and then they say some things and they point out some things that I am blind to. It helps. It helps because now someone else is giving me a perspective of who I am that I may not be seeing because of maybe the situation I am in right now. So I think the profession, my own therapy. You mentioned personality. I don't know if I feel like maybe my personality could have helped. The kind of person I
Claim
am,
it.
I tend to. I think I tend to be very introspective. So I think also being that introspective and being in my head a lot has helped also yeah, I think my personality has helped to a degree, but
Hmm.
it's a learning curve, and I don't think I am even in like form four. I think I'm maybe in class three or class four, somewhere there.
I appreciate the honesty.
Honestly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It just
Okay.
keeps changing. It just keeps shocking you. Yeah, yeah. That's what I think.
Okay. If I'm to share
Yeah.
my side, I've
Please do. Please do.
always valued introspection and self-awareness as one of my strong suits. And then went into uni, studied psychology, experienced life as we all do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest shock was you never, like you said, you never get to a specific point where you can now
Yeah.
say, I know myself completely, because there'll be a new
Yeah.
experience that will expose a part of yourself that you haven't had
Mm-hmm.
to deal with because you hadn't experienced
Yeah.
that thing before. So your reactions, your responses, and everything shed
Yeah.
new light on things you might have either
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
missing, ignoring, or justifying in some other way. So to get
Yeah.
even
That's
more
very true.
personal, if
Wow.
you don't mind,
Nicole.
is is there a moment that you can pinpoint where you can say, ah, okay, in this moment right here, I am utilizing my self-awareness, and it doesn't necessarily have to have been a wonderful experience that brought you
Mm-hmm.
rainbows and sunshine, but it
Yeah.
was a moment where your self-awareness helped you in a moment to better understand yourself or the situation that you were experiencing.
I kind of really like rainbows and sunshines, but now that you've said that,
Okay.
let me see. Yeah.
That's
Let me see
okay.
this. Um, um, maybe a couple of months ago, it's more of my personality. I think again this goes to my personality. So there's this
Mm,
thing that we know that introverted people are mostly considered shy and unable to speak in public,
mm,
and these people seem to be like there's no place for introverts in most places, like in social gatherings, in offices,
yeah.
workplaces. Yeah, like extroversion is seen as the default setting for anybody who interacts with people. So when you're
Mm.
introverted, you're asked, why are you quiet? Why are you so quiet? Why are
Yeah,
you
why are
not
you
talking
so
to people?
quiet? Are you
Do
okay?
you hate people? Are you depressed?
Yes.
What is going on at home? You know, and they get
Yeah.
into your business a lot. And
Yeah.
so, um, for 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 a very long time, I realized that I wanted to be, first of all, not asked those questions, and
Mm.
second of all, because I realized that extroversion paid in a way, like it gave you, it opened doors sometimes. It made
Yeah.
people see you as lively and bubbly and life of the party, and oh my gosh, bouncing off the walls with energy, ball of energy, and
Yeah.
you are the people person, and people crowd to you, and they make you, you have friends, and you invited everywhere, and you do all these things.
Yeah.
And so I realized that if I wanted those perks that come with extroversion, which is seen as the
Mm.
default setting for people, for normal people who are not sick and depressed and not in a good place, I
Mm.
needed to become extroverted. And so I
Mm.
would spend so many days practicing these extroverted uh, tabias, if I may call them,
Interesting.
like being, oh my gosh, pumped, energy, let's go. I was,
So
yes,
what does that practice
cheerleader,
look like? Just hyping yourself up in front of a mirror
hyping
before you
myself
step
up.
out?
Yes,
Okay.
not even be in front of a mirror. It's like the entire day, because then the entire day is just me trying to think, where am I going to get that energy to sustain an
Yeah.
entire night of interaction, and
Okay.
and not being able to defend myself when somebody asks, why are you so quiet? Why are
Mm.
you okay? Is everything going well? And being like, yeah, I'm completely fine. I'm having a party in my head right now. I just don't, I can't share it with you because there's an entire beautiful world going on in here. And so
Yeah.
that desire to fit in and become like people who seemed so excited and happy out there, that made me feel, ah, and I got really tired. And so,
Yeah.
in the pursuit of understanding what's going on, do I have a problem? That's when I
Mm.
realized that I'm actually quite introverted, and I may have to do some extroverted things as part of my job, as part of the things that I love, because I do love speaking with people and speaking my ideas, and sometimes even standing on stage. I'm not shy. So standing on a stage does not fill me with fear when I want to speak about something. And being at the party and talking about lively things does not make me feel weird, because I'm not shy, right? But I am introverted. I want these things in small doses. I just want to be there for an hour and then go home, or less. 10 minutes is good as well, but an hour, fine. I'll give you an hour. Right? So that self-awareness came in the form of me understanding it is okay for me to actually have the personality that I have, which is deeply introverted. And it is also okay for me to push myself knowingly and go ahead and do some extroverted things so that I can get the work I can get to do the work that I love to do. It's a price to pay. I am not lying to people that I'm extroverted when I show up as an extrovert in those moments. I am just doing what I need to do for me to do the work that I love. So I don't know if that answers the question or is too personal. And do we delete that section? Is that too enough?
No, it's good, and I really love that you've touched on how society rewards a very specific kind of person. So the more out there you are, the more social you are. It's seen as very charismatic. You're very social. You're approachable. So society rewards that kind of behavior. And it's interesting how our stories sort of mirror each other slightly, because for me, I thought I was very extroverted until I realized I have to experience people and social spaces in small pockets. And then I need more time to recharge my battery before I can go in, even if it's with one person. So I think the beauty of self-awareness is being able to understand that being introverted, like you said, being introverted doesn't necessarily mean that you're shy and you're timid. You can interact. It's just, I think the thing is it's more selective with regards to how you express yourself when you express yourself in those ways. And the only Bugwa has made a statement that I have been making throughout the phase of the self-awareness conversation. It says, funny how no one ever asks as extroverts, why are you so excited?
Oh God. Yes.
But it's like we said,
actually, I think
behavior. So, and it's I also want to clarify that this is not an attack on extroverts.
It's not an attack. It's not an attack on extroverts. I think I actually think that the world needs both. We cannot have a world where we are all introverts, because if we are all introverts, we will not have people who do extroverted things, which are required for some things to happen. Because every personality type has its own weaknesses and its own strengths, and we need each other for us to have that balance. And as you said, it's not an attack on extroverts. And just know who you are and where you are, and it will help make things easier as you continue to glide in life. That's what I think I would say.
It's also important because then you don't overexert yourself, you don't reach burnout, and you're wondering, why am I all exhausted when so you don't put yourself in situations where you know you're going to get drained easily. But you also need to have the self-awareness to be able to understand, I know I thrive in this kind of environment, and I know in this kind of space it's not my go-to, but I can adapt easily because I have these particular skills, but they're utilized in this particular setting.
And I feel it also makes you deal with the guilt that comes with saying or being a kind of a person, like if you have to say no to some things and you feel guilty about it, if you're self-aware, you'll realize I have no reason to feel guilty. This is actually not who I am, and it's okay for me to be the person I am, and it will help you communicate even easier with other people. So self-awareness is a plus for everyone in every situation.
I'm going to quote you on that one. It's okay for me to be the person that I am. It's a simple statement, but it's very powerful, and it's So for those who are joining in and out, point of discussion for this evening is self-awareness. Please feel free to
Yeah.
send in questions in between. We'll be touching on those in between the in between the conversation. So we've
Yeah.
sort of touched on the idea that you can't. There's no peak point with regards to self-awareness. So you're never going
Mm.
to get to a point where you say, I know myself completely and I understand all the reasons why I do the things that I do and I react the way that I react. So
Yeah.
there's no such thing as self-actualization in self-awareness where you hit a peak. But are there levels to self-awareness? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, that's a great question. Actually, something I wanted to mention as well about self-actualization on self-awareness is
Yes.
that the idea, even the belief, even the notion that anybody could ever get to that point that, oh my gosh, I am so self-aware, you people don't even know. You know, the
Even though
idea,
you say
that's kind of a, you know, that thought, to even think that way makes
yeah.
people try to reach for a kind of perfection in this
Yes.
thing. And you're thinking you're going to win at life and you're going to win at becoming self-aware. It's like now you've
Mm,
turned it into a contest, and guess who's number
mm,
one? Me.
yeah.
But we all know that the nature of perfection is that it will never be reached, it will never be achieved. So even trying to be perfect and so good at self-awareness is something you should be asking yourself, what am I trying to do? That is
Yeah.
actually a question on self-awareness. Who am I
Exactly. Yeah.
trying to impress?
Yeah.
Like it just comes back on you. So
Yeah.
that's something I think it's very important to state. So as you ask, levels of self-awareness, I've heard of many, but there's one that I really like, and I think I've used it in so many places, in so many ways, and it's very common. It's called the Johari window. So
Mm,
there's this Johari. It was Joseph and Harrington.
mm-hmm.
Johari was the perfect name, and they were psychologists, right? And this is something that was developed in the 50s, and
Yeah.
it's a Johari window is literally like a window that has four panes. So
Mm,
one place, one square of the window is the open self. So the open self is the things I know about myself and the things
mm-hmm.
other people know about me, and we
Mm-hmm.
all know hizi vitu ziko kwa public, sisi wote
Mm,
tunajua, there are no secrets
mm.
there. Me,
Okay.
I love food. My friends know I love food. That is the open self. We are not hiding, we are not arguing. That is a level of self-awareness. So
Okay.
yeah, so that can have like many things in there. There are so many things
Okay.
that can now fall under the open self, because those are things
Okay.
that actually most of these things in the open self do not bring us shame, because
Mm,
we have overcome the shame by knowing that other people know about them and they are accepted as who we are, right? So we
yeah.
feel very accepted because people know what is in our open self. Then
Okay.
now there's the blind self at the other square, the blind self.
Mm-hmm.
So the blind self is stuff I don't know about myself, but other people know about me. And
Mm,
the blind self can be things. Let me see something that I don't know about. It can be, maybe it's the thing I was saying in the beginning, the impact you have on people. So you might
yeah.
not know the impact you have on people. That's the blind self,
Mm,
because
okay.
you just go around the world doing your own thing and having fun, and then people come back and be like, you offended me. You're quite a very you're very vulgar. Maybe there's some people who
Mm,
don't realize they are vulgar because they've never really like thought that I'm not vulgar. That's just how I am. That's just how I speak. And then now
yeah.
they experience people who come and tell them, hey, by the way, what you did, how you are, it's actually
Mm,
very, and I think you need to, kidogo, So
mm,
that's the blind self, and that blind self um, is can be accessed easily by seeking feedback from
mm,
these people
yeah.
who know you, because they are your friends. Most of them will be your friends. Of course, a
Mm,
total stranger does not know anything about me, right?
mm,
So even me seeking feedback from them would be very difficult because they will not give me feedback that I can work with.
yeah.
But people who are in my life, my friends, my family, your exes, those are very good sources of telling you things you don't know about yourself, especially your exes. So seek them out, buy them
Okay.
tea, and just listen to the things they will tell you, because those are the people that you want to get this feedback from these people because these are people who should ideally have your best interest at heart. So they're not trying to hurt you. They're not trying to offend you. They just want you to get better. So that's the blind self, and those are the things that you can access by getting the feedback. So that's another level of self-awareness. And then there's the third self, the third pane, which is the hidden self. So the hidden self is stuff that I know, but you people do not know. So yani, you will be very surprised to know that I am that kind of a person, or I do those kinds of things. You know, it's like when people like, maybe you're a gambler and you don't want people to know that you're a gambler. You might be a gambler, your family does not even know. I saw this documentary. No, it was true crime. I saw this true crime film where this guy killed his wife and his children and his mother. He left that state and moved to another state and got married. And he was married for like 10 years. And eventually, the wife comes out and finds out, oh my gosh, my husband is a murderer. You see, that's a hidden self. Those are things that nobody knew. This guy just hid completely. And there's so many dark things we can hide in our hidden self because, you know, nobody knows. Nobody knows. I can go out there and pretend to be this kind of a person, be this kind of a person. But deep down, I have some my own darknesses. And to lighten it up a bit, sometimes there are good things that there are some things we know that about ourselves that are really good and other people don't know about them. Maybe because they've not interacted with us, so they don't know these things. But as we know we are kind, we know we love our friends, we know we contribute when we need to. So you see, it doesn't have always to be bad things, because I also feel like there's this notion that lack of self-awareness implies that there are bad things about yourself you don't know.
That you don't,
people, sometimes people think that everything about self-awareness is bringing out the bad things about you that need to come to the world. They need to be seen. You're problematic. This is where you're going wrong. You know. So that's like the third place. And for you to get to talk about these things. So for you to explore the hidden self, that requires you to open up. That requires you to be very to disclose, you know, and to find people that you can talk to. Sometimes that stuff can be spoken about in therapy, but normally for most people, it will come out in deep conversations with people they know and love. So you'll find that it is one of the things that can help create intimacy the most. So if you have a friend whom you're trying to develop intimacy with, you guys need to get to the hidden self. And intimacy, I'm not talking about just like, because again, intimacy, people think it's all about romantic and sexual things. No, intimacy is even between you and your mom. Intimacy is having that closeness. So if you want to develop closeness with people, you need to get to that point where you're able to open your hidden self and bring it out. And that requires time, that requires patience, that requires honesty, that requires you to be very vulnerable. It can be scary because you don't know what these people will do with this information once they find out. That's why you cannot be vulnerable with everyone.
With everyone.
Again, you cannot be open with everyone because you don't know everyone.
Right? Not everyone has different interests
that's willingness to expose yourself. That's what develops the intimacy. That's why you hear people say that every time you struggle with that willingness to open up, it helps you to get to those deep places and just to be there and just be present. And you want to cultivate those things with people you trust, your closest friends and a therapist maybe. Those are people that can help you find out deal with the stuff that is in the hidden self, right? And then last but definitely not least is the unknown self. So the unknown self is stuff I don't know, you don't know, nobody knows. And the problem is that we have a very big I don't know if it's a problem. The challenge is that we have a very big part in the unknown self. There are very many things we don't know about ourselves. And those things sometimes are hidden in our unconscious. They are buried there because of, for many other reasons that they could be buried there. And so you can also find that sometimes it's a place where problematic behaviors come from because they're unconscious. You don't know why you behave the way you do. So you're like, that's the time people now start associating themselves with their problems and saying, oh, me, I think I'm just a bad person. It's just that stuff that's in their conscious that you've not explored. It's not you. It's just the stuff that's controlling stuff, And so this is stuff that can be explored in therapy. That's a good thing, that in therapy you can explore some of these things, because your therapist is trained to be able to work with you in a journey of self-exploration.
Yeah.
You will do most of the work, but they're able to point out some areas that you might want to work on, some things you might want to look into. And the other aspect is that the knowledge of the unknown self can also come with exposure to people, places, new things, new adventures, new experiences, age. You know that say I think that saying for wisdom comes with, there's a certain type of wisdom that comes with age. I think it comes from that, because with time there's some things that will just reveal themselves, and the more you explore, the more you learn. So yeah, that's that's their known self. It can be a place of treasure where you can find so many buried treasures, and it can be a very good place for learning, because it will help you understand most of the things that you don't know, and you're just like, wow, bona things are like this with me. And when you explore that hidden self, that unknown self, you're able to to bring those things up. That's what I think. I think it's important to point out that that exploring the unknown self, it can help you become more forgiving of yourself, even because now you don't hold yourself with judgment, because you found out some of the root causes of the things that were happening. It can also help you become more forgiving of other people, because maybe they are also struggling with these things you don't know. So basically that's what I think about the levels of self-awareness. I don't know what you think, what you would want to add to that.
Before I comment, I wanted to read a few comments that before I comment and read a few comments. But Natalie gave her compliments on hair. Thank you very much. Mitch says she's done the dry exercise before. Natalie as well. Yeah, it's a really it's a really great exercise to do, and it's very eye-opening. And I think the really interesting thing that stuck out to me is, even in the term self-awareness, the automatic assumption is that focus is on self. And the individual. But you realize that a lot of the things also involve interactions with other people, the different dynamics you have in the different relationships that exist in your personal life. And I think for most people, they learn more about themselves to the relationships that they carry in their lives. And it doesn't necessarily, when we say relationships, again, to clarify, we don't necessarily mean romantic partners. We mean with your mom, with your dad, with your friends. So it's literally with authority figures. So it's a very diverse group of people. It's not limited to how you behave with these specific people. Yes, I had a question with regards to the blind self, because in the blind self, it's hidden to you, known to others. Yes. Yes. So I know some of the questions that might come from that is, what if some of these are just what if some of the comments that come from, oh, this is your blind self, are either projections from the people around you with regards to like how you respond to something triggering something else in someone else, and then them claiming that as a trait in you. But I guess because I'm trying to phrase it in a way that it's not a question on the other person's self-awareness, but on you. so that you know when it's an opinion and when it's, oh, this is an actual trait of my hidden.
I understand.
Okay.
Yes, I totally understand what you mean. And I think so basically the question is, how do you know? Because I feel like this now directs us to understanding criticism and opinions and knowing what to take in and what to leave out. I don't know if that's the gist of the question, right?
Yes.
So in my experience, I have found out that first of all, I don't know if this is controversial, but I think we need to get to a point where we are comfortable with hearing our own voices and comfortable about asking ourselves difficult questions and not waiting for people to give us permission to become who we want to become. So let me step back kidogo.
Could you,
Yeah.
can you repeat for those in the back, please?
Yeah, like I just feel like, especially in this modern time that we are in, there
Yes.
is a lot of information. There are so many gurus. There are so many people who know things. There are so many industry experts. There's so much expert opinion. There's
Mm,
so many people telling
yeah,
you things, and you forget that they're telling you things from their own experiences.
exactly.
And those things, them telling you things from their own experiences, does not make them fact. It also doesn't make them not fact, but remember, not everything is a fact. Most of these things
Yeah,
are subjective. Most of these things are based on who I am, what I've experienced, and where I am right now, my friendships, my family dynamics, my mental health condition. You know, there are so many
yeah.
things that determine the opinions that come out of people's end, right? And
Mm,
so I think taking criticism, understanding who to take opinions from and who not take opinions from. I would say that first
yeah.
of all, you need to. It's your job to develop a group of people whom whose opinion you trust, because they are not coming, like I said in the beginning, they have your
There's no
best
malice
interest
in
at
it.
heart. There is
Yeah.
no malice. They're coming from a place of kindness.
Mm,
They're not coming from a place of uh, of please, I'm going to tell you whatever you need to hear, so because I want you to think I'm nice. No, they're
yes,
not
man.
trying to be nice.
Yeah,
They are not trying to be nice. These
yeah.
people are not wowed by your success.
Mm,
These people are not afraid of your success. They're not afraid
mm,
of your power. These people
mm,
are not trying to please you. They're trying to be kind to you, because they're
yeah,
coming from a place of where of I want to make things better. I want to
yeah,
make your life better. And I'm not coming to make your life better by being the expert telling you this is what you should do. They're just giving an
mm,
opinion. And
yeah.
remember, at the end of the day, you're the one to decide what opinions you
Yeah,
take and
what
what
you
you don't
take
take.
and what you, yeah.
And that criticism, how you differentiate that is it constructive or not? Are they
Mm,
telling you, Nicole, you are
mm,
problematic? Or are
mm,
they telling you, Nicole, there's this thing that you did, and I think it's
mm,
damaging you, or it's
yeah,
damaging us, our friendship, our
mm,
family, our nini, our nini. I understand where you're coming from. Maybe you're struggling with something, and I'm here to help. You don't have to
yeah,
struggle alone. Let's make
yeah.
let's repair the relationship. They're
Mm,
not coming to tell you, you're a bad person and you need help. Endo
yeah,
kasaidike.
like what they do, yeah.
It's not an
You,
accusation.
yeah,
You know, that's how you differentiate between the criticism. Are they criticizing you, or are they
yeah.
criticizing the situation? That is how you know
Yes,
the
the
difference.
actual problem. They're not attacking you, they're
Yeah,
attacking the problem. Mm.
exactly. So if you
I
find that
don't,
the
is
people who are
anyone
giving you feedback
else
are attacking,
in the audience? Because it feels like a sermon. Okay.
yeah. So I think it's
Yeah.
very important to just differentiate that. Be very careful who you take, and again, go back to that core number of people. There's this thing I've had Brene Brown say, that for her, she has like a small list of
Yeah.
people whose opinion matter. So you can't
Mm.
have a list of 500 people whose opinions matter. When are you
Yes.
going to live? When are you going to take on those opinions and actually implement them?
Yeah.
There are 500 of them. Let's say there are 500 of them. Do you know how many 500 people are? Like, unajua ni watu wangapi? Like matatu, a huge matatu maximum is like 32 passengers.
Yeah.
Think about 500 people,
Yeah.
and you have 24 hours in a day. 8 of them you're sleeping. 2 of them or 4 of them you're commuting.
Mm.
You actually don't have the time.
Yeah.
You don't have the energy. And even in that, during that entire time you're listening to these opinions, when are you sitting to listen to your own opinion, your own thoughts,
Yeah.
your own
Yeah.
understanding? What time are you taking to do that? So have a very
Exactly.
small list of people whose opinion you to win something, or to impress you, or
Mm.
those people are just kind people.
Yeah.
And it's your job to cultivate those relationships that get to that point. You will not meet those people and they want, and they're like, hi, I am so kind. Add me to the list. That is not going to happen.
Add me to your list.
It's not going to happen. That's not how it happens.
You've touched on a really, really important point that I've noticed becomes a huge element of all of the conversations that we have. When it comes to there's a constant necessity for knowing thyself. There's a necessity for having a healthy support system. So just like you said,
Yeah.
it's also still, even in the wanting of people who will give you feedback, the people that you allow to give you that feedback is also dependent on you, because at the end of the day, you're the one who goes to sit back down and analyze, okay, what can I take from this? What do I feel
Yeah.
like are coming from a truthful place as well? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, in that also still, if you want that to happen in your life, you're gonna have to cultivate your self-awareness, because that's
Yes.
also the only way you're going to know, actually, no, I don't agree with that. I appreciate the feedback, I take it, but I don't think that's what's happening here. So also being able to know what is just receiving the information that you get, receiving the feedback that you get. Lorraine
Yeah.
says that she hasn't
Yeah.
done the exercise, but she likes the conversation. I highly, highly recommend it. I think it's also available online. So if you just look that up, you'll be able to have access to the exercise. Let me
Yeah.
see if there are any other comments, questions, reactions. One time I was recording a lecture, so it over-recorded and was listening to myself later. I was shocked at how I sounded in those conversations. Ooh, interesting. That's a fun one you can
That
do.
happens to the best of us. That happens to everyone. I will look back at this and I'll be like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh. That
yes. It's
happens to
always
all of
very
us. You're in
interesting
good
to see
company.
yourself from perspective.
Yeah, you're in good company. You're in good company.
Yes, that was a good one for you. Continue. I pray
Yeah.
that it brings out stuff that you can pick out on and learn from and whatnot.
Yeah.
Aurora says,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
true.
better, self-debate or self-criticism?
Wait, what?
Self-debate. Could you
Uh-huh.
elaborate on
Yeah,
self-debate? Because
please.
on self-criticism we understand, but on self-debate, what exactly do you mean? What does that entail? Natalie says we don't have the time for unconstructive criticism. There you go.
Actually,
Filter.
something I wanted to say
Yeah.
was on the criticism part. Also, remember, if what they're saying is true, then that's a learning opinion.
Yes.
That's a learning opportunity. If what they're
Opportunity.
saying is not true, then walk away from it.
Yeah.
So it's also another way to sieve. Are they saying something
Yeah.
that actually needs work? Are they saying that you are a poor communicator? So maybe you can look
Yeah.
at that as a learning opportunity. Like, maybe I am a poor
Actually,
communicator.
yeah.
Let me go do
Yeah.
some work on that. Let me see where
Yeah.
I'm failing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not always a bad thing to hear bad criticism.
True.
It's
Yeah.
just knowing from
Um,
who we are.
yeah. I think like you said, at the end of the day, you have to establish your circle in
Mm-hmm.
a way that you know you're not surrounded by, like we said, yes men and yes women. So
Mm-hmm.
that when you do get that feedback, one, like you said, you already know it's coming from a positive place. It's an opportunity for
Yes.
growth.
Yes.
And then
Mm-hmm.
even when you're doing it, you have less work because you don't have to think
Mm-hmm.
about, oh, but does this person actually care about me? Is the
Mm-hmm.
way that they're
Mm-hmm.
speaking to me showing that it's more about, like we said, attacking the problem, not attacking the person. And I think that's also
Yep.
something that's very, very relevant in
Mm-hmm.
self-criticism as well. Don't attack
Mm-hmm.
yourself in you shouldn't it shouldn't be one of those things where you say, oh, I'm a terrible person, but more, oh, I did a bad thing actually. The fact is,
Yeah.
it wasn't the best
Yeah.
decision. It's not the best decision I've made, but what do we do from here? How do we rectify
Mm-hmm.
that? I've been notified
Yeah.
that I missed a question. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, someone else said preach. I to piggyback on that question with regards to the blind self as the giver of the feedback, should you give your subjective or your objective view? Do you want to respond to
Oh,
that?
yeah, that's quite good. Do you give subjective or objective feedback when you're the giver of the feedback.
Yeah.
I think it might be a bit of both in some cases, because remember, at the end of the day, as much as you're objective, we are humans and we tend to put things in context within our own experiences. So I think there might be an element of subjectivity when you're giving this feedback, but I believe it should be objective so that it is actionable.
Yes.
Unless it is something that so let's put it in context. So let's say, for example, Nicole, you did something and I felt offended.
Yeah.
So I would come and tell you, you are a horrible person. You go around offending people. What is wrong with you? That is not feedback.
Yeah.
That is not. Yeah. That is just you bashing me. That is just me bashing you.
Yeah.
But I would come in and give subjective feedback, which is, there's this thing that you did that made me feel very offended, and I wonder what was going on there, right? Are we okay? Is something? Were you in a bad mood? That is us discussing the thing that caused this pain to me.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you my subjective experience of your actions.
Yeah.
But the objective part would be, if maybe it's something, maybe you were stressed, or maybe you were going through something difficult and you lashed out at me and then I felt offended, then my objective part would be, how are you able to handle stress and these difficult things that are going on in your life? Are you able to handle? How are you handling them? So the handling part, where there's a technique on how you can handle your stresses so that you don't lash out at other people in future, or even at me in future when you're in a bad place. That's now the objective part, because that's the part where you go back as Nicole, you sit down and think, how do I handle stress? So that in future, I do not hurt people, because their subjective experiences are what they're going to, is going to be the first experience they have with me, right? So you can't really, I don't think it's possible to pull them apart. They will be kind of intertwined. And the beauty is that they help you see things in a very different way. First, your effect on the person, and then the thing that you need to work on. So I think it's a very good thing that both of them can be looked at. But this won't happen with everything, and it won't happen all the time. And it's just context. I think it's more of context.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was going to say, in situations where you're providing feedback or criticism with regards to a situation that has happened directly correlating to the two persons, you don't need to, the feelings or the experience that you have is justified. So when you're giving your feedback and when you say, you hurt me when you did this, and I've noticed that this behavior is present, what's going on? Do you know where that's coming from? That's both, like you said, it's difficult to tear it apart, because it's based off of action, response, consequence, etc., etc. So I think maybe the thing is in the approach, in the how of the criticism, in the how of the feedback. It says self-criticism to me sounds like me thinking about the bad things I did. I think, I don't know how you feel, but I think when the minute someone says criticism, the thing most people think about is someone pointing out the bad things that you've done. So of course, having that negative connotation to it will lead to automatically boxing it into, oh, it's just about the bad things. And I feel like it's okay if you want to rephrase so that you're comfortable in exploring. So if saying self-criticism automatically triggers your mind into thinking about negative things, find a new word to utilize so that you're not automatically driven there. So if self-debate is something that works for you instead, use that so that you also don't confuse your mind. I think sometimes when you use language is very, very heavy and has impact. So even how you speak to yourself, the words that you use have a huge impact on how you think. And I'll let you add on. I'll let you add on to my mumbling. Anything? Any response to the self-criticism bit?
I think you just have to be aware of when what you're criticizing really. And as you said, it's the behavior, not the person. So you need to get to a point where you're able to stand outside of yourself. There's this quote I saw about how you have the capacity to say, differentiate yourself from your thoughts. So that capacity of differentiating yourself from your thoughts is self-awareness, so that you know, and even your behaviors as well, so that you know when I do something, when I think of something, when I feel something, it's not, I have the ability to stand outside and look at it from an outsider's perspective, you know, like to just take a bit of distance, to create a bit of distance, so that I can think objectively. Because if I am enmeshed in that moment and I am just in that moment at that time.
Sorry, Jennifer, we're losing you. Attack the problem, not the person. Basically the gist of what we're saying, and that's also with regards to when you're speaking to yourself. Excuse me, let me see if there are any other. Lorraine says, nowadays I don't just say things, I'm careful to get. Okay, we'll hopefully, I'm sure that's just a network issue, so we'll wait for her to come back. But I'll just go through some of the comments some of you have made in the meantime. I don't just say things, I am careful to get the other person to understand exactly what I'm trying to say. I don't know. No, that makes a lot of sense. Like we've said, sometimes the methodologies we use also matter, so that you know when it's also good to be aware of when you are
I think I got
projecting,
disconnected a bit.
so the
Sorry.
impact. Yes, no, it's fine. I figured. It's I keep saying that if we don't have technicality issues, if we don't have any technical issues during these live sessions, is it really a
It
live
is not a
session?
live, yeah, it's not a live
Accept it.
session.
It's part of the process.
Yep. I'm glad to have participated. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so I'll just
yes,
going through some
that's
of the
exactly.
comments that we've missed. There were a few responses to a lot of the stuff that we've said.
Yeah.
And so Lorraine says that nowadays she's very careful about how she speaks to people, which is important.
Yep.
Self-debate to me is, we did the bad thing, now what? Do we wallow or do we move? Yes. So you've actually done the same thing, you've just called it something different. Is that J Mars or I Mars? I think that's J Mars. People are like mirrors. You know a lot about yourself from others. It's true. Like we said earlier, you tend to learn more about yourself through relationships, because that's when you experience yourself, and also through other people. And even in that feedback process. How about affirmations? I feel like affirmations are so powerful in self-awareness, especially in difficult times. Thoughts on that, Jennifer?
Are we allowed to be controversial?
Ooh, go for it.
um, Affirmations are great. They're actually really great. But in their greatness, I want us to be careful not to run away from our emotions, to do emotional avoidance in the name of affirming ourselves and positive thinking.
Positive
That is my
psychology. Okay,
controversy.
yeah, we're on the same page. we're on the same path.
I truly love positive affirmations and positivity. You need it.
Yeah.
It has its place. But do not practice emotional avoidance in the name of positivity and affirming and manifesting and law of attraction. You refuse to do the
Yes.
work, and that is my unpopular opinion.
No, I totally agree. I think a thing I had to learn recently was, what I caught myself doing was I would use affirmations and positive psychology to get through things quickly. So maybe I'm not feeling the best, and I will do my affirmations and I will utilize my positive psychology. But later on, you realize you've simply delayed the emotional response. You're not
Yeah.
you're not dealing with the problem in just affirming yourself. I think that's the thing. Just using the affirmations, I think, is a bit where the problems come in, because affirmations
Yeah.
in themselves are great and they are very useful.
Yeah, I think it's just important to remember that most of these things that we use our tools, and
Yes.
tools have their purposes and they have their time. If
Yeah.
a plumber came to your house to fix, maybe your sink is broken, and they came with a hammer,
Mm.
how will they fix the sink? Like the hammer, I believe there is the place where they're supposed to tighten something. The hammer does not do the tightening. Like they might need the hammer to like break down something, but the
Yeah.
hammer will not be the tool for everything. That's why
Exactly.
people ordinarily, and I'll go to the construction world and say, people who work in construction have a toolbox, and the toolbox does
Mm.
not have one tool.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't. Yeah,
if you went to a hardware and you bought a toolbox that has only one tool, you'd be like, give me back my money.
yes.
Because one tool does not solve everything. It has its
Yes.
place, it has its time. It's a wonderful tool. It can be beautiful, it can be powerful, it can be very useful, it comes in handy, but it cannot be the go-to for everything,
Yes.
because
Yes.
problems are different, situations are different, people are different, experiences are different, personalities are different, mental health situations are different.
Yeah.
So don't rely on them like the go-to for everything. Use them when they are
Exactly.
useful, step when they are not, and it's
Mm.
okay. Yeah.
I
No hate to
100% agree
affirmation
with
lovers. No hate to affirmation lovers. We love you. This is just
that. No, I
one of
think
those
we've
things.
clarified that the point is that it shouldn't be your only tool. It shouldn't be the only thing
Yeah.
that you utilize. Then now it's
Yeah.
just avoiding.
Yeah.
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 So there was a question that was sent in earlier, and it was with regards to um how do you deal with being self-aware around people who aren't?
Yeah. I like that
I
question. I
think
actually,
I think this was
I've
also
been,
coming out also
mm-hmm,
with parent-child relationships.
mm-hmm,
Uh, yeah, because a lot of the questions that came in were also with regards to um, if I am getting to a point where I'm emotionally aware, how do I
mm,
deal with an emotionally unaware authority figure that you can't
mm.
necessarily get rid of?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. That's a valid question, and I love that people are asking these questions so that
Mm.
we don't just be saying become self-aware, but then we're not bringing it to the ground where I am working or living with people who are not self-aware. So I think that is the
Yeah.
applicability of some of these things. And I think it's important for me to start by saying that the beauty of self-awareness is that as you learn self-awareness, you will learn that first of all, you have control over very little, and
Mm.
the serenity prayer is your best friend. Okay, after Google, serenity prayer is your best friend,
Mm.
right? So you need to get to that. Self-awareness will teach you. You see, it's a learning tool that changes you as you go. So
Yeah.
you learning to be self-aware will also equip you with this tool of realizing I do not have control on many things. I do not have
Mm.
control on people. I do have control on some things. I do have control. I am able to deal with some issues, but there are some that I can't. And
Yeah.
now your self-awareness gets you to the point where you accept that, imagine I can't change people because
Mm.
people are adults, and it's not my responsibility to change them, and I should not aspire for that to ever be my responsibility. Because remember, people do not want to be changed. People want to
Mm.
change at their own pace. That's why when you start telling
Yeah.
someone, you sijui unakwangaje, you need help, endo badilike, they're like,
Mm.
you're hating on me now. But
Yeah.
if you let them change at their own pace, they have the capacity to actually change. So
Yeah.
if you when you become self-aware, I think it's important for you to use your self-awareness like a candle.
Mm.
Become a shining light, so that
Mm.
when people come around you, they are able to realize, you are able to show to light up their world in a way so that they can see some
Mm.
of their darknesses and go deal with them on their
Oof.
own.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and, and you don't do it by telling them, hey, guys, me self-aware, you people need help, and then you self-aware. They will just become resentful. They'll be like, what's wrong with you? Is this the
Yeah.
self-awareness that you're learning? Then if this is the
Yeah.
self-awareness, I don't want it.
Yeah.
That is what they'll become. But because you're becoming self-aware, you're going to become empathetic. You're going to realize that people are dealing with their own issues that are beyond you, and
Yeah.
they need you to be loving and compassionate and to see them as human. to see them as flawed, to not expect perfection of them.
Yes.
And in that, when they experience your warmth, when they experience that being in your presence is calming, is peaceful, then they might become curious. If these are people who want to learn, they will become curious. They'll be like, hey, by the way, I like how you are peaceful. I like how you're not fazed by things, you know. I like how you're able to control your emotions. What's the secret? And somehow you find yourself becoming the person who speaks about these things and be like, why? And then you so she knows these things. So you being that, you holding your self-awareness as a candle is not so that you can shame people for their lack of self-awareness. It's so that you can help them see where they need to work on. So that's just point number 1 or 2. I think those are 3 points. But you also need to get to a point where you yourself, self-awareness helps you to find your own peace. You know, the beauty of self-awareness is that will help you to find your own peace, and you'll feel that you'll get to a point where other people's lack of self-awareness does not become your personal burden. You don't sit there and ruminate and you're like, kai, mnaishingiaje mkiwa na lack of self-awareness nini? How are you even surviving?
Yeah.
You know, you will get past that because you realize I need to find my peace. And this is, their lack of self-awareness does not make me resent them. It makes me feel for them and hope that one day they can get where I am. And again, when especially when you're dealing with people in a position of power, don't be afraid of, okay, you might be afraid, but don't get tired of advocating for yourself. Don't get tired of saying, when they step on your boundaries, don't get tired of telling them, this hurts me when you do this. I feel offended when you do this. This does this and this and this. I know you're going to feel so tired of doing it. You're going they will start saying you're complaining. What is wrong with you? Why are you not conforming? So that is the time for you to remember that you have to keep advocating for yourself. It is exhausting work, but it is part of the job. And if you stop advocating for yourself, then you just become numb, and you will stop being the candle. You'll have turned down, you'll have zimmered the candle. So now the light is gone for you and for them. You get my point?
Yes.
And then I think it's also very important to remember that if I think this one is directed at people in positions now of power, parents, and those other people who are just in positions of power that you cannot control. So if you're a person in position of power, I think it's important for you as a person to go ahead and make self-awareness one of the things that is a common practice in your organization. If you're in a position of maybe it's employment, make self-awareness one of those things that you guys talk about in your place of work, that you guys implement, that you guys help people learn. Because now you're in a position of power, maybe your employees do not have self-awareness. So because you're becoming self-aware as a leader, then make it part of the learning process for your team. If you're a parent and your children don't seem to be self-aware and you know better, then do better. Help them get there. Not by beating them with a stick. Mukwe self-aware, nyinyi nimechoka bana. You know, that's not your work. Your work is, I'm trying to be kind. Come from a place of kindness. And there's this quote that I love so much by Abraham Lincoln. It says, we all know Abraham. You know that guy who used to be like, he's very presidential, very nice. That guy. There's this quote that I love so much, and it comes to my mind, I think, like 24 hours a day. This quote is always ringing on my mind, especially when I have an encounter with anyone. Don't criticize them. They are just what we would be under similar circumstances. So do not get ever.
I feel like that requires a level of empathy.
Yeah, that's it. That it requires empathy and tolerance and acceptance and patience. Because don't ever get to a point where your self-awareness becomes the thing that alienates you from people, because now you've become arrogant. Because now you're thinking, I am so better than you people. You people need help.
You're on a high horse.
Yourselves. You know, you don't ever get to that place. Then again, the beauty is your self-awareness will never let you get to that place.
Never allow you to get there.
Because self-awareness pulls you back. It reminds you, you don't know everything. You don't know everything. You don't know everyone. You don't know the circumstances. You need to be patient, tolerate people, see them as flawed, and accept them, because that is humanity. Don't expect perfection from people. So it requires, self-awareness is just this thing that keeps going around. As we said in the beginning, it's a meta skill. It helps you learn these other skills. And these are part of the things. It helps you learn empathy. So I think I have preached a lot on that point.
No, you have the people, they're listening, the congregation is present, but it's also reminded me of a quote that really humbled me. And it says, knowledge is harboring information. Wisdom is knowing what to do with it. And it's woof. It was a quick humblement, because I think sometimes, especially like you said, in our self-awareness, it can get to a point, especially if you're surrounded by people who seem not to be as self-aware, you can get to a point where you have a tendency to be impatient.
Yeah.
And in your impatience, you build arrogance, and in your arrogance, you don't allow for space for people to learn. Because again, going back into what we said with regards to the Johari's window, elements of knowing yourself requires also your interactions with other people. So if you're also closing yourself in your self-awareness halo, that there's nothing, it's more about you constantly teaching other people, then you close yourself off from learning certain things about yourself that you are blind to or are hidden from you as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Definitely using that quote. Yes, please, and thank you. Go forth. Preach. I feel like that's become a it was not intentional for someone's preaching and what's not to be utilized in this conversation, but kindly know that it's just being used as a metaphor. This is not this conversation was not faith-based. When self-awareness becomes the object, we've lost. It's quite possible, because I think there's a high that you can ride in self-awareness, because it's so exciting to be able to catch yourself in moments and be like, I know exactly why I'm behaving like this.
Yep.
I'm going to catch myself in this moment, and I'm going to do better or respond differently. And there's a je ne sais quoi in being able to do that. So it can. But like you said, if you have true self-awareness, you'd also catch yourself in that moment enough to be like, oh, okay, let's fix
and
that.
I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to not judge or shame yourself for finding yourself riding that high of self-awareness.
Yes.
So when you find it, don't be like, me, I thought I was self-aware. What is wrong with me? Now I am struggling. Don't go to that page.
But you are, because you've acknowledged it. Yeah. I agree. Oh, is she posed? Okay. So Lorraine says, does self-awareness come with knowing God or religion for that matter? I'm just thinking out loud. My personal opinion on that is that religion doesn't necessarily have to be an element for self-awareness. I think self-awareness is available to anyone who is vulnerable or honest enough to look within themselves and also experience themselves through the eyes of other people. So you don't necessarily need religion for you to be able to experience that. Jennifer, you can agree or disagree.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can lean on God to help you become more self-aware, but if you're not religious, don't feel like now you've been closed out of this opportunity to become self-aware. It's not a privilege for the born again or the ones who are in Christ or in Allah. It's not a privilege for some people. The beauty of I think the thing I love about psychology and mental health as a whole is that it's not for a certain group of people. I think this is one of those things that has become, it's not an exclusive club. Anybody can come in, anybody can join, anybody can have fun, anybody can read. That's why I encourage people, even if you're going to therapy, don't stop reading things out there written by other therapists because you think your therapist is going to feel bad that you're learning from other therapists. We actually want you to learn from those other therapists so that you can get better. The point is it's not a club that you need, a members only club that you need membership. Yeah, so it's for everyone. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, your name is actually perfect for this conversation. Introspective Jay.
Yeah,
I
that's a
write
good one.
at high school, especially in the talking stages. Yeah, I think we've touched on this enough,
Yeah,
but at least, like we said, wisdom now is knowing that yes, that's a thing that you do. What's the next step from there? Question: if you are an empath who feels people's emotions and vibes, but being self-aware, does that make you manipulative? Would you like to respond
that's
first?
I'm not even sure how to respond to that, but I think the fact that you're noticing who you are, who you think you are, like if you feel that you're an empath, maybe it becomes then a place of understanding. What is it being an empath? Yes, I feel other people's emotions, but do I feel those
Those-
emotions in place of my emotions? Do I
Mm,
try? Do I avoid my emotions and feel theirs so that I can continue supporting the empath narrative that I am an empath and I feel it? Or do I actually feel their emotions genuinely? And how
yeah.
do I create boundaries so that I can protect myself and my
Mm,
emotions from extreme influence from other people?
mm,
Not because I'm a bad
mm,
person, but because
yeah.
without boundaries, you're just hurting yourself. So it's
Yeah.
important to have that conversation with yourself. What is this? What is this degree of empath, being an empath I have? And what are some of the challenges that could limit me from having wonderful relationships with other people? You know, because
Yeah.
sometimes I think I need to say this. Um, Labels are interesting and they're nice, but I don't think anybody wants to hold on to a label so strongly and identify with it as their identity, because labels
Mm,
limit you. They don't give
yes.
you freedom. Any kind of label you
Yes.
put on yourself limits you, because then it says that you can only be this one thing. So
Yeah.
if you limit yourself to this one particular type of thing that you are, I am an introvert, mi
Mm,
msiniambie I'm just an
mm,
introvert, mnikubali venye
yeah.
niko, then it becomes problematic, because first of all, people will limit you to being an introvert. If they see you doing anything that is not introverted, like, they're like, you're
Yeah.
lying, or they start calling you out and they're like, hey, huyu anakuanga mwongo nini nini, or they will have expectations of you that sometimes you might not meet. They will expect you maybe to be shy or to be timid,
Mm,
but maybe you're not.
yes.
You get? So
Yeah.
don't be excited to hold on to labels, please.
Yeah.
Labels, identities.
I like that you've said both positive and negative labels. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes we create narratives about ourselves, or we adopt
Mm-hmm.
narratives that we've heard from other people about ourselves, and then that
Yeah.
becomes who we are. So you don't allow yourself space to be anything else but.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in that question,
Yeah.
you've sort of established that maybe the thing isn't necessarily that you are either or, but
Mm.
uh, there's certain situations that draw out this version of yourself, and then these other ones that draw out a different version of yourself. So I think it's
Yeah.
more about exploring uh, deeper into your self-awareness to establish
Yeah.
why in this situation you feel like maybe it's just the empath in you, and why in this other situation it's more about like it feels almost manipulative. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
so, Serene Rehab says, good job, Mental 360 Kenya. Thank you so much for the feedback. Lorraine says, such an eye-opening conversation. Thank you so much. I have noticed that we have run out of time. But it's also because this has been such a heavy and fruitful conversation, and super, super insightful, even for me. This is a favorite conversation of mine, a topic of conversation of mine, mostly because I feel like every single time I have this conversation, something new pops
Yeah.
up, which is part
Mm-hmm.
of that whole thing of self-awareness never ends.
It never ends.
You're
Oh, it
always
never ends.
learning beauty of it,
Yeah.
the beauty, the pain of it. But yes,
Yeah.
I'd like to give you an opportunity to say any last words as we close up, and then I'll wrap up with what I needed to say.
Um, I think as a closing remark, if I may call it, um, self-awareness, I
Yangu ni
think, as I said,
Mhm.
sorry.
I made a joke about people at any social event who always start with in
Oh,
conclusion, therefore.
of course.
I'll just end
But
with
we
a
are
small
Kenyans. We have this. I have something small. I have
something
something
small
small. Yeah,
advice. Okay,
yeah.
sorry, go on.
So yeah. What I would say is self-awareness is not something that you're going to do, and then the goal of self-awareness is not once you have done something, once you've found out something about yourself, you go and say, by the way, you guys, me, I'm usually like this. End of story. It's not a place where you go,
This,
you reach, and you have arrived, and then you decide and assume an identity and decide that is who I am going to be, because this is who I am.
yeah.
If you're using self-awareness for that purpose, you will struggle a lot with it. The whole point of self-awareness is to shine lights in areas that require work. And so, if you're only doing self-awareness to find out things, but you're not working towards them, it's like having insight. Like when you have insight over, oh my gosh, that is why I am like this. And then you do nothing about it. You go ahead and continue being the person you are. So the whole reason why you're doing self-awareness work is so that you can shine light in some of the things, in some of the areas that you want to work on, in some of the areas that might be problematic, in some of the areas that you need to amplify your strengths. That is the whole reason why you need to work on self-awareness. And once you've done it, then you're able to relate with other people. Like we said from the beginning, it's a meta skill. It helps you learn other skills. So use
Exactly.
self-awareness for what it is, so that it can help you become better at things. It makes life so much easier. It makes you understand people. It makes you relate better. It makes you better at critical thinking, at decision making. It just overall, it's just a gift that keeps on giving. So grab self-awareness with both hands, embrace it and exploit it, read on it, have fun with it, explore. Don't get caught up in one definition of things. Use it
Yes.
to the fullest. It's there for you. Use it to the fullest. So yeah, important to remind guys that it's a tool. Use it to its fullest.
Thank you so much. I think a really beautiful thing I've noticed throughout our conversation is that you've managed to acknowledge both positives and negatives, the goods and the bads, the gray areas.
Yeah,
There's a tendency to always focus on either or. So I really
yeah.
appreciate that we've managed to highlight both in this conversation. There's some hilarious comments in the midst of all this, but to summarize all of it, we are highly appreciative of all the knowledge you have dropped on us. Like I said, it's been super insightful, and I also like
Yeah.
how your choice of words. So we appreciate you taking the time to come talk to us. I'm sure a few people will request that you come back for a different conversation. I will reach out to you with regards to that if you're open. So these conversations are a thing that we do on the Mental 360 page every 2 weeks. If you have a specific subject theme that you feel like needs to be addressed, if you have a specific person that you think you need us to talk to and you want to be part of the conversation, let us know. Our DMs are open, and we also host virtual support groups, and information on that is always shared on all our social media pages. So yeah, I can see someone saying yes, bring her back. So
Thank you. I'll be back.
we need
Yes, this
3D
is fun.
feedback. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much for everyone who has joined us this evening. Thank you for taking the time. There's people who are asking how they can reach you. I guess you can give contacts for you directly, but if you can
Oh,
reach her
yeah.
through Mental 360 and then
Yeah.
uh, ask
Yeah.
specifically for Jennifer. But yeah,
To reach me directly, first of all, thank you. I am so glad that you guys are actually finding value in this stuff.
no,
Sometimes I
100%.
sit and yeah, sometimes I sit and think, am I thinking too much? Is this in my head, all in my head? And then I'm like, no, actually there are people who find value in it. And
Yeah.
my greatest joy has been knowing that I do actually have something to offer, and then getting a platform to offer it. And
Yes.
this is I honestly love doing this. Like, we can talk for 5 hours. Don't even try
We
me.
could. We
So
could. We really could.
yeah, we really could. So I truly love this. I I truly love doing this and with you with Mental 360. You can reach me on through Mental 360, as they said, or when you go to Twitter or Facebook or on the web, you can just find Safe Space Arena. So Safe Space Arena is a platform that focuses on creatives. We have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, we tweet sometimes because I am the worst social media user in the planet. And yeah, I do try to tweet
Self-awareness.
sometimes. Yes, I do try to tweet sometimes, and I do try to post some stuff on Facebook. But mostly where
Yeah.
you'll find me and my work is at the podcast. It's called Conversations with a Therapist. I do it with my
Okay.
very, very wonderful friend who's in the audience today. His name is Lawi Odera, and he's the best. And
Great.
we do Conversations with a Therapist. It's centered around creatives and the creative world and mental health for them. So that's where you can find me. You can find the YouTube channel as well, Safe Space Arena. Just Google it, you'll find it. Tweet me. If you tweet me, I will see it and I will respond in 48 hours or less.
Okay.
Hopefully. Yeah.
All right. So we'll try to tag some of those
Yes.
onto this. So
Yeah.
as we close, again, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for engaging. Thank you for participating. It has been a really, really fruitful conversation. I myself have thoroughly enjoyed. For those who are joining in late, don't worry. We save all our live conversations. So if you go onto our IGTV, just give it like a minute. If you go into our IGTV, you can watch the full conversation in case you missed the first half or you just joined us right now, like I'm seeing some people are. So yeah, we'll see you at the next Bomber Live conversation. Thank you and good night, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from.
Bye.
Bye-bye.